we learned to throw a ball at one point. We were lousy. If we practiced it, we got good. If we didn't, we were still lousy. We might have learned to play tag and interact with other people. We might have learned to play on a baseball team or a basketball team. And now we're really getting complex brain activity going on because not only are we learning the actual skill of dribbling and shooting, those kinds of things, but we're also learning the complex skill of where's an open person I can throw the ball to? What's the strategy for this? That's why we created this Ageless Grace Brain Health Program. If you're doing these 21 different exercises that we have, that we call tools, that you are working all 5 functions of your brain. We make sure that you're working upper body strength and spinal mobility and overall flexibility and balance and all these things that you need to be optimally functional for the rest of your life, because you want the brain to function well and the body to function well. Both things should be healthy and strong.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Denise Medved, and you're saying that it's important that brain health needs to be that focus, because we'll somehow find time for going for an exercise, may find time, and maybe not even find time for going for workout, but we rarely think of brain exercise, right? This. And if we think of that, it goes back to doing some crossword puzzles and say, oh, we got a check mark. We live life on those check marks. Check, check, check. And you are actually inviting us to look at this in a very different way. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, it's literally a change of mindset to realize that scientists have now proved in the last decade that the primary purpose of the brain is to control movement of the body. Just what I did, moving my head, using my hands, leaning forward, leaning back. My brain was in charge of all of that. And it was sending signals to my body, and my body was sending signals to my brain. Now, certainly doing things like getting up and walking across the room, or opening the door, or going up a set of stairs, or driving a car, things that we take for granted are things that we have practiced. And because we've practiced those things, the neurons, which are brain cells in our brain, have created neural pathways. And I like to compare it to the internet. It's kind of like an information highway. Like the more you use it, the more it pops up on your screen. It remembers where you were. Well, guess what? The more I do a certain movement with my body, the better I get at it, the deeper that neural pathway is, so that I can do it really quickly without thinking about it. But what actually changes the brain is doing something that you don't already know how to do, or doing something that you know how to do in a different way. So there are so many simple things like that. This is a really simple one. If you brush your teeth with this hand all the time, try brushing it with this teeth, and not just this hand, not just one day and not just for a minute, but try doing it for a while, so that your brain's saying, that is not what we usually do. And then if you get really good at it, try brushing your teeth with the opposite hand and standing on one foot while you do it. I mean, you want to give little physical things that will affect the brain. Now, also, when you do cross body things with your arms, with your legs, moving in different directions that cross, it causes neurons to fire from the right side of the brain to the left, and the left side of the brain to the right. And yes, We can fire this side and this side. We can fire all the different functions of the brain, but we want to also do that cross body thing, where if you always reach up here for something, let's say glasses on the top shelf that you drink out of, move them, put them over here so that you have to reach for them like this. Changing things around in your home, changing the path that you take when you walk and not going the same way every time, your body starts to get familiar and it's created that neural pathway and it just makes that stronger, but it's not firing new neurons, new brain cells. And we need to be doing that all the time. I love to compare it to kids because from the day you were born, you were developing your brain. And it actually looked like child development and play. That's what it looked like. It was brain development. So when you were figuring out, oh, wow, I have hands and oh, I have feet and can I roll over and can I crawl and can I walk? You were actually developing your brain through physical movement and discovery, and you were not good at it. You didn't just like stand up and take off walking. You needed to try some things. And in that trying is where you're firing those neurons. So, for example, we learned to throw a ball at one point. We were lousy. If we practiced it, we got good. If we didn't, we were still lousy. We might have learned to play tag and interact with other people. We might have learned to play on a baseball team or a basketball team. And now we're really getting complex brain activity going on because not only are we learning the actual skill of dribbling and shooting, those kinds of things, but we're also learning the complex skill of where's an open person I can throw the ball to? What's the strategy for this? And so that brings me to tell you, and there won't be a test at the end, I promise, about the 5 primary functions of the brain so I can explain why technically only exercise doesn't work the brain. It helps. Any exercise is good for the brain. But if you don't have to think about it, it's not actually using the brain that much. If I'm on a treadmill, it's wonderful for my heart and my muscles, but my brain doesn't. I can listen to music, I can watch TV, I can talk to the person next to me. I don't even have to think about what I'm doing. But when I have to think about it and engage it, then suddenly those 5 functions of the brain are starting to begin to work together. Those 5 functions are, and we have an acronym for it to help you remember it: strategic planning, starts with an S, memory and recall, analytical thinking, creativity and imagination, and kinesthetic learning. And it spells SMACK. And that is the sound of a new brain cell firing, a neuron firing, smack. So we made it easy for you to remember those things. And they all have to do with movement. They don't have to do with strategic planning. Is not planning your retirement. That's a mental activity. But strategic planning is saying, oh, gee, I think I'm going to go outside and go into my car and get something out and bring it back into the house. So suddenly my brain is saying, what do I need to do first? I have to push my hands down. I have to stand up. I have to take steps. I have to go around the corner. I have to open the door. The brain's planning it the whole time. And if I do it differently than I've ever done before, if I say, you know what, I'm going to go out the back door and walk around the house and get that out of my car and come back in, then my brain's saying, whoa, that's not what we usually do. And so it's firing neurons. So you're getting from point A to B to C. M stands for memory and recall. And I know a lot of you, even in the 40 age category, but up to 65, you may be thinking, oh, I'm starting to forget things. I can't remember where I put my car keys. I don't remember that person's name. I can't believe it. I try to remember the name of a book and it's gone. Well, first of all, that's probably most likely very normal aging, very normal forgetfulness. And it also has a lot to do with hormones and the way they balance. It has to do with overwhelm and overwork. It has to do with putting your attention in lots of different places. Maybe you have 2 children and one has to be here and one here. So memory and recall is about the physical aspect of memory and recall. Believe it or not, every single memory you have is a physical memory. When you think, oh, what's the name of that book? Well, if you go to the physical aspect of it, you'll either remember holding it in your hand, You'll remember sitting at lunch and your friend telling you about the book. You'll remember seeing it, on Oprah's book club. It's a physical thing that you were doing when you heard about this book or when you read this book. So memory is a physical experience, and recall is slightly different. Memory means I actually remember physically being there or smelling that smell or talking to that person and introducing myself. Recall means that I'm recalling what I know about it. So if I said to all of you, pretend to play the trombone, you like right away, you'd probably all be doing this, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you'd say, "Oh, I have an idea." But then when I said, "How many of you have ever actually played a trombone?" Probably 98% of you would say, "Never,"
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you saw someone play a trombone or an orchestra or whatever. So you have that recall in your brain.
Mm.
The next one's analytical thinking, and it's literally the brain understanding all the parts or components of an activity. So if you were to say to me, "Oh, how would you like to play a game of tennis after this?" The minute you say that, my brain's going, tennis racket, tennis outfit, tennis shoes. Where's the tennis balls? How's my forehand? Oops, I need to practice that. Oh, I have a lousy backhand. I got to remember my serve. I need to practice. It's remembering all the parts of that activity. It's getting me ready to be able to go to the tennis court and play tennis. What doesn't matter whether I'm good or bad, it analyzes it. The next part's creativity and imagination, and this is a fascinating aspect. It's not being able to be an artist and paint or crochet or blow glass or whatever it is you do. Although that is a physical skill, you are using your body in most cases to be creative. Probably writing as a writer is the least physically involved, but there are many things that involve physical movement. But I'm actually talking about creativity when your body's moving out of the box. And I've
Mm.
already mentioned that before. It can be as simple as driving a different route to work. Driving is a physical activity. You're doing a lot of things at once, and it's a high level, complex brain skill. But if I drive the same route to work every day, how many of you, ask yourself, have ever driven to some place and when you get there, you don't remember driving there, right? It's
Yes.
common. It's
Yeah,
common.
it's very common. Yeah, yeah.
It's scary when you think about it, but the truth is your neural pathways are so good at driving that route that you don't really have to think about it. You're on
Mm.
automatic pilot. Now, that's why if you were to go out of your driveway and turn left to get to your work every day and have to figure out going around the block and going a different way, and then suddenly your brain is really engaged and you're sort of on high alert with your brain. You're focused, you're paying attention, like, okay, I need to watch because somewhere here I'm going to need to turn right. And I don't know where it is, but I'm paying attention. So that change of habit is very important, especially physical habit, to good brain health. Now, I said creativity and imagination, they're different. They're part of the same function, but imagination is my favorite because when you see a picture in your mind, an image, that's where the word comes from, you're lighting up your brain with that picture. And interestingly enough, the brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between imagining you're doing something or seeing something and actually seeing it or doing it. So, for example, if I were to say, let's pretend we're climbing a ladder that's propped up in an apple tree and we're going to climb up. And so we're doing it and you're seeing, and we're climbing up, we're going to get those big red apples, we've got a basket, and we're going to fill the basket with big red apples. Now that little tiny bit, my brain said, oh, we're climbing a ladder and we're going to pick apples. It saw it, it felt it. So Dr. Norman Doidge, who wrote the brain that changes itself, is did a study, and the study was thousands of MRIs on people's brain, and they were looked at when they were actually doing an activity, let's say playing golf, and then they were looked at while they were imagining that they were swinging the golf club, that they were lining it up, that they were following through, that they were putting, and they're just imagining. It's pretend. And almost all the same parts of the brain lit up, whether it
Mm.
was imagined are real. So we use a lot of imagination in my Ageless Grace Brain Health program. You're imagining you're somewhere. You're imagining what color it is. You're imagining that there's an audience or a crowd around you. You're imagining sounds and smells, because it's the same as if we were able to do all of that activity in reality and have a difference not only on our body but on our brain. The last one's kinesthetic movement, and that is literally what we did from the day we were born. That means you figure it out with your body first, you try it, you experiment with it, and then your brain kicks in and says, if you'll do that again, I might be able to make you better at doing that. So let's use bicycle riding, for example. As far as I know, nobody just hops on a bicycle and takes off and they're great at it, right? You fall off, you lose your balance, somebody helps you, somebody guides you. But what's happening is that you start off just like my brother does it, so maybe I can do it. I'll try it myself and see what happens. And then somewhere in there, the brain says, I could make you better at this. And it'll say, what if you press through your legs? What if you like stand up tall instead of leaning forward and sideways? And so the brain is kinesthetically teaching you how to ride a bicycle. You try it, you experiment. You don't do so well. You experiment a little more. The brain kicks in, it helps you, and you start to be good at that activity. So SMACK. Now, the important part about this is that I mentioned this a little bit about brushing your teeth, but listen to this. Like if you were to just brush your front teeth, that's all. You just brush your front teeth every day, but you were really dedicated about it. You're going to have beautiful front teeth, right? But what's going to happen to all these? And maybe even your jaw and maybe your gums. You're going to have tooth decay. So if you only do crossword puzzles or word games or play cards, and that's your brain health program, you're going to be good at those things. But all the rest of those 5 functions of your brain are going to deteriorate because you have not been focusing on the entire brain. You can't just pay attention to the crossword puzzle part or the tennis part or whatever and say, that's going to keep my brain healthy. This is big news that you must engage all 5 functions of those brains, of your brain, ideally on a daily basis, all 5 functions. Now, you can do that on your own. You can figure that out. You can study it, you can look at it, and you can do it. But in all honesty, that's why we created this Ageless Grace Brain Health program, is it's figured out for you, especially if you don't have a lot of time. It's figured out for you. And there have also been studies. If you're doing these 21 different exercises that we have, that we call tools, that you are working all 5 functions of your brain. So you don't have to worry about it. But you're also working the physical benefits. We make sure that you're working upper body strength and spinal mobility and overall flexibility and balance and all these things that you need to be optimally functional for the rest of your life, because you want the brain to function well and the body to function well. Both things should be healthy and strong. So it's important to find a program that addresses all 5 of those functions, and ideally in a fairly quick time frame. Now, we do have classes and programs and DVDs and downloads and podcasts and all kinds of things. But what is important to know is that there's been research done on all kinds of different fitness programs, including Ageless Grace, that shows 10 minutes a day of focused movement that has to do with your brain will maintain your cognitive function. Now, if you want to continue to improve it, you'll need to spend a little more time. Maybe what you do is you take a 45-minute class once a week or twice a week, just to get ideas to do for your Ageless Grace brain health program. But 10 minutes a day in between is what maintains what you have created and built in your cognitive function. So what happens is if you were to take a 45-minute class on Monday, of Ageless Grace, whether it's virtual, online, in person, whatever it is, on your own in your living room, your brain health reaches a certain level. You've improved it through that 45 minutes. You do 10 minutes the next day, it maintains it. You do another 10 minutes, it starts to improve, and it's like a graph going up that your brain is getting stronger and more resilient and more focused and more sharp every time that you do just 10 minutes. So it
I
doesn't
love this.
require a huge amount of time by any means. It
This
does
is
require dedication.
brilliant. This is so brilliant, Denise, isn't it? I
Yeah.
just like you have a program and it is a step by step. By the way, you can test me at the end. Smack. I remember it. I remember all the steps in it. But listeners, don't go away. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll go deeper into these insights.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.